Hey guys, Kiwi here. In this video, I'll be breaking down and discussing King Ezekiel possibly leaving The Walking Dead during Season 10. With that being said, major warning of spoilers for everything in the show up to the Season 9 finale, and let's jump right into this. So, articles have come out during the second half of Season 9, implying that King Ezekiel might not be on the show anymore next season. Now, unlike most major departures recently on the show, this departure seems like it may be a decision of the actual writer's room for once, not something to do with behind-the-scenes drama. Now, although there still could be something behind the scenes that's involved, as of right now, all we have to go off of is that Ezekiel's actor, Carrie Payton, definitely wants to stay on the show for as long as possible. He has shown his support with the show time and time again at places like conventions and just on social media and the internet in general, so I doubt that Ezekiel leaving will have anything to do with the actor wanting to leave the show. It's kind of a shame that that's something that even needs to be brought up whenever talking about a character leaving the show now, but it is what it is. I wanted to wait until Season 9 was over to cover this, as I wanted to wait and see the Pike deaths along with the actual finale to this season. Ezekiel died as a Pike death in the comics, so if he was to become one on the show as well, these articles would have been kind of a spoiler along with just underwhelming. There was also a rumor going on that there was going to be a huge death in the Season 9 finale, which obviously didn't happen. I don't know where that came from, but when it was a rumor bouncing around, people were suggesting that they might kill off Ezekiel. So, although Ezekiel didn't die during Season 9, and now he's outlived his comic book counterpart, don't get too excited, they might pull an Abraham on us. What I mean by this is, Abraham lived past his comic book death, which they actually put Denise in place of when she got shot in the eye with an arrow, but they did that just for him to die a few episodes later to Negan. Abraham was supposed to die around episode 614 if he were to follow the same fate as his comic book counterpart, but instead they kept him on all the way until 701. That's right, a whole 3 to 4 episodes. This was extremely disappointing to fans, myself included, especially since Robert Kirkman said that he regretted killing off Abraham so soon in the comics, and that he wasn't going to make that mistake again because he was excited to see him live past his comic book counterpart and into the Negan arc. We were also excited to see Abraham live into All Out War during seasons 7 and 8, as we all thought he would be a badass mofo during the war. Our dreams were obviously shattered by Lucille, and now it seems like the show might do something similar with Ezekiel. Ezekiel has lived past his comic book counterpart, as I've said, and many fans are excited for that. Speaking of which, remember all of the Ezekiel head on Pike foreshadowing that they did ever since Season 7? Like in the beginning of Season 8 when that nerdy savior literally tells him that he's gonna put his head on a pike for Negan?
Your head on a pike will do just fine. Maybe break it up a little.
We thought that they were foreshadowing Ezekiel's death the same way that they foreshadowed Glenn's death with Lucille by having him almost get smacked in the back of the head with a baseball bat at the sanctuary, but in Ezekiel's case, I suppose it was just a fake out meant to keep the fans constantly guessing. Now, Ezekiel has gotten just so much more screen time and development on the show than he ever did in the comics, so it would have been a shame to kill him off so soon. Now that Ezekiel has gotten an extra spotlight on the show, it may be time to adjust into an arc to eventually send him off, but I'm not too sure. Like, if they're going to send him off, then should they have just killed him off with the Pike border, because it was a relief to not have Ezekiel die, and Henry sort of took his spot, which it was a big bummer, but it was a relief having Ezekiel not die. That being said, if they just kill him off an episode or 2 or 3 from now, I would have probably just preferred for him to get the Whisper Pike death. Now I feel like Season 10 is going to take a page from the comics with the whole Michonne arc in a new beginning. In the TV show, I feel like Carol is pretty much comic book Michonne now, at least that's how Henry's death has pushed her forward. There are a few minor details that are different, like Henry and Michonne having multiple kids pre-apocalypse, but whatever. For more or less, it seems like Carol is going to go down the same path that comic book Michonne did, because in the comics, Michonne was actually dating Ezekiel, and they were, perfect for each other and all of that, but Michonne just couldn't bear to live with herself knowing that she got a second chance at a happy life with Ezekiel when she originally abandoned her children back when the apocalypse first happened. Now, it's not like she left them for dead, she was across town, and she just didn't go back and search for them, she just assumed that they were dead. Comic book readers who have read the Commonwealth arc know that this turns out to not be true, but that's besides the point. Michonne pushed herself away from Ezekiel during the New Beginning time skip as she felt too guilty about her children to allow herself to be happy with Ezekiel and get a second chance at a happy life. Michonne talks to Rick, as in the comics, that they're still best friends, but only best friends, and Rick helps put some sense into her, and so just when Michonne and Ezekiel sort of snap out of it, and they both decide to confront each other and confess their love for each other and maybe, make back up and become a couple again, Alpha kills Ezekiel as one of the Whisper Pike deaths. Literally, the last we see of Ezekiel alive in the comics, he's running off from the fair to go find Michonne and tell her that he loves her once more in an attempt to win her back. Michonne finds Ezekiel's head on a pike in a similar way to Carol finding Henry, although considering it's comic book Michonne, she lets her temper get the best of her. Michonne couldn't allow herself to be happy with Ezekiel until it was too late, and I feel like the exact same thing will happen on the show with Carol. I may discuss more of this in the future regards to Carol in season 10, but this is also extremely important for Ezekiel as it possibly sets up his death. Who knows what Ezekiel will do in season 10, as we don't know if we'll ever even see the return to the kingdom again. Did they just pack up and leave to get shelter at the hilltop for the winter, or are they moving there permanently? Let me know what you guys think, if we'll see the return of the kingdom or not next season, as that is a point of discussion in the near future here on the channel. Will Ezekiel lose his, will to lead without his family and his throne? Ezekiel once ruled the kingdom before, but he's always had someone by his side. Whether it was Shiva and then Benjamin and Morgan or Henry and Carol, he's always had family to fight for and, people to support alongside him. Will he really still have the passion to lead the kingdom after losing everything on top of now his queen and his son and even his kingdom? I guess Ezekiel still has Jerry along with all the other people from the kingdom, but if he feels like they're better off staying cozy up at the hilltop, depression and self-loathing is something that Ezekiel could get mixed up in. Everyone knows that Ezekiel still loves Carol, just like how Ezekiel still loved Michonne in the comics, and so just like Michonne, Carol will push Ezekiel away until it's too late. Some say that Carol and Ezekiel are done for good, which could be the case because something as tragic as losing a child can break up a couple, but it's not just that, it's also partly due to what Carol told Daryl while they were at the sanctuary. Carol feels like she's losing herself and reverting back to her former self, pushing people away because she's too afraid to care for people and then watch them die. I don't think that she'll go live in some secluded cabin again, because hopefully we don't want to see the same thing repeated, that'd just be boring, but she'll go back to Alexandria where she originally started, but she will be a bit odd going into season 10. It took her this many years to open up and accept becoming the queen of the kingdom, and Henry's death just undid all of that and more.
I feel like I'm losing myself again. I'm really trying to hang on, but I don't know what I'm doing.
Ezekiel wanted to try and fix things and mend that, relationship, but it was just too little too late. So with Ezekiel feeling like he'll be in some sort of limbo during season 10, without a family or a kingdom, what will his purpose serve? In the comics, he was killed off right before he was about to go and attempt to work things out with Michonne, so maybe that'll happen on the show with Carol as well. I'm not too sure if they'll have this happen in the first half of season 10, like how they got the Gregory business out of the way at the beginning of season 9, or if they'll leave it for something to happen, near the middle of season 10 or even near the finale, but I guess that just depends on if they find something to do with Ezekiel's character in the meantime. I'd like to see a lot more of Ezekiel on the show, but if they're getting rid of the kingdom for good, it may be best to just give him 1 or 2 good final arcs in season 10, and then kill him off to affect Carol's character even further, and hopefully even a few other characters as well. I hope that Ezekiel bounces back in season 10, maybe even gets his kingdom back, continues to make a name for himself, but that just doesn't seem to be the road that they're headed down. With all that being said, should they have just killed him off as a victim to the Whisper border? On one hand, after discussing all of this and theorizing about it, I do kind of enjoy the concept of having him last another season, all while giving him the same ending with Carol that he had with Michonne in the comics, but on the other hand, I feel like if they were going to kill him off at all, that it should have just been with the Whisper border, especially if he dies right at the beginning of season 10. So I guess that it depends on how much they use Ezekiel's character in Season 10. If they kill him off with the first episode or two, like how I thought he could have even died in the Season 9 finale, then yeah, I'd prefer for him to have just gotten a Pike death. But if they actually give him a solid arc or two going into Season 10, now that he's, you know, a loner at the hilltop, maybe he can go off by himself and do something courageous, or maybe be on the front lines, or even sort of form the whole militia against the Whispers, then they could eventually kill him off while affecting other characters, such as Carol, in that tragic way that we've discussed. Then yeah, I'd probably prefer for them to keep him on for Season 10 and let all of that play out. And who knows, if we do get the kingdom back in Season 10, maybe he won't die at all, maybe he'll return to the kingdom after eventually getting proper closure with Carol. So, what do you guys think about Ezekiel going into Season 10 of The Walking Dead? Will they just throw away his character in the first few episodes, or will they actually utilize him? Also, how will Carol become affected by all this in Season 10, and will we ever see the return of the kingdom as a thriving community? I'd appreciate a like on the video if you've enjoyed anything I've said today, and feel free to check out my Patreon and follow me on Twitter as well, where I'm always posting everything I can involving the Walking Dead universe, links to both in the description. But anyways guys, as always, I thank you all so much for watching, and if you're new here to the channel, hit the subscribe button for more Walking Dead content in the near future, but until next time, I'll talk to you guys later. Peace out!